J'écoute les hommes de l'art.
Devant la porte avec le logo. Non, non. Là, il est pas fait pour les c'est son base de 100% base. C'est le principe. On doit remettre en haut.
Bonjour. Ça va? Ready? The Court of Arbitration for Sport has ruled on the request for arbitration filed by Caster Semenya and Athletics South Africa, ASA, against the International Association of Athletics Federations, the IAAF. The arbitration procedures concerned the IAAF eligibility regulations for female classification intended for athletes with differences of sex development, also known as the DSD regulations. The DSD covered by the regulations are limited to athletes with the biological profile 46XY DSD, which are the conditions where the affected individual has XY chromosomes. Accordingly, individuals with XX chromosomes are not subject to any restrictions under the DSD regulations. Caster Semenya and ASA requested that the DSD regulations be declared null and void. By majority, the CAS panel has dismissed the request for arbitration, considering that Caster Semenya and ASA were unable to establish that the DSD regulations were invalid. The panel found that the DSD regulations are discriminatory, but the majority of the panel found that on the basis of the evidence submitted by the parties in the procedure, such discrimination is a necessary reasonable and proportionate means of achieving the IAAF's objective of preserving the integrity of female athletics in some track events of international competitions, that is from 400 meters to 1 mile. However, in its award of 165 pages, the CAS panel expressed some serious concerns as to the future practical application of these DSD regulations. I can mention 3 aspects. 1, the difficulties of implementation of a maximum permitted level of testosterone. In view of the strict liability aspect of the DSD regulations, the panel expressed its concern as to the possibility for an athlete to maintain a sufficiently low level of testosterone, and more specifically, the resulting consequences of unintentional non-compliance. Second, the difficulty to rely on concrete evidence of actual significant athletic advantage by a sufficient number of concerned athletes in the 1500 meter and 1 mile events. The CAS panel suggested that the IAAF consider deferring the application of the DSD regulations to these events until more evidence is available. And 3, the side effects of hormonal treatment experienced by individual athletes, that is, the use of oral contraceptives, could, with further evidence, demonstrate the practical impossibility of compliance, which could in turn lead to a different conclusion as to the proportionality of the DSD regulations. The CAS panel was asked to solely determine whether the DSD regulations were invalid or not, but it considered appropriate to highlight its concerns with aspects of the DSD regulations which arose from the submissions and evidence adduced by the parties during the proceedings. The CAS panel strongly encourages the IAAF to address these concerns when implementing the DSD regulations, bearing in mind that the DSD regulations are a living document. Indeed, it may be that on implementation and with experience, certain factors may be shown to affect the overall proportionality of the DSD regulations. In its award, the panel also stressed that while much of the argument in this procedure has centered around the fairness of permitting Miss Semenya to compete against other female athletes, there can be no suggestion that Miss Semenya or any other female athlete in the same position has done anything wrong. This is not a case about cheating. Miss Semenya is not accused of breaching any rule. She has done nothing whatsoever to warrant any personal criticism. The full award with reasons remains confidential for the moment, but an executive summary will be published by the CAS very shortly. The CAS award may be challenged before the Swiss Federal Tribunal within 30 days. Thank you. I come back.
Mathieu L'appel a été rejeté.
Thanks a lot. Merci Wolfgang.
Oui, moi j'arrête.
Ok, c'est bon. Il faut se faire les bras un peu quoi.
Yes, hi, it's Marina in Lausanne.
Il manque un peu de pompe.
Hi, we need to cut the live. The statement has been read. Super, thanks very much.